keeping your forked repo in sync with the upstream ones is something that is usually very tedious and requires us to use CLI and some Git commands. But today, I have for you 3 ways to make that simpler and even being able to automate it. Let's get into it. Hey, welcome back to CoderDave, where we talk about DevOps, especially with GitHub and Azure DevOps. Right, so the first way I have for you to synchronize your forked repo is using the feature that GitHub has recently made available directly in the UI. You can just go to the main page of your repo in the code section, and next to the indicator that says if your branch is ahead or behind the source repo, you now have this Fetch Upstream button. Clicking on that, you have the possibility to compare the changes made in the source repo with the ones made in your forked repo, and also to automatically fetch and merge them into your repo. And if the changes from the upstream repo conflict with your own ones, then GitHub will provide a feedback for you and allow you to open a pull request to fix the merge. Next method I have for you to synchronize your forked repo with the upstream one requires a little bit more of setup, but then when everything is done, it allows you to easily synchronize it and even do it automatically if you want. I'm talking about using the new Merge Upstream APIs in GitHub. This way is much more flexible than the previous one. Using the APIs, in fact, you can start a synchronization from many different platforms, your CLI, an application you develop to apply governance to your repos, and so on and so forth. And as such, it will also enable you to automate the whole process, for example, using a cron job or a schedule operations, and so on and so forth. But let's see how to use the APIs. So as we can see in this OpenHack DevOps team repository, it's 17 commits ahead, but also 7 commits behind the parent repo, the one I've forked this repo from. Now this time, instead of using the fetch upstream, I want to use the APIs as I was saying before. So we will use curl to invoke the APIs, but as I was saying before, this can be used and probably should be used more effectively in an application you're developing or something like that. So we use curl, and the API for this is being invoked in post. Then we need to pass 2 headers. The first one being the application type that specifies basically the version of the APIs that we are going to use. I recommend using the version 3, that is the one with more features. Also, since we are going to edit our repo, we need to pass the authentication. That should be provided also as a header. That's why I have the H. And we're going to use the personal access token I've generated for this. Remember that GitHub is going to deprecate the use of username and password via APIs. So it's recommended using personal access tokens for this purpose as well. And for this API, I've generated a token with just the repo scope because, as I mentioned before, we are going to edit our repo, right? We're going to commit basically to our repo. And then we are going to provide the URL of the API. We can get this from the documentation of GitHub, but basically it's just api.github.com/repos/the owner and name of your repo /merge upstream, which is the new API I was talking about before. Last parameter we need is the branch we want to synchronize with the parent repo, because we need to tell GitHub which branch to take in consideration. And in this case, I'm gonna do it on the master branch. When we have all of this in place, we can execute the call to the API. And in this case, we get this error because we have merge conflicts. So no matter what you do, even if you do it from the UI, if there are merge conflicts, you will need to solve those conflicts manually before you can actually sync with your fork. If our repo instead wouldn't have any conflict, we would receive this message with the status 200 saying that this operation has been successfully fetched and fast-forwarded from upstream and the branch we specified. Remember that the Merge Upstream API requires authentication, as we've seen, also because if not, everyone would be able to push data to your repo, and we don't want that, right? If you want to know more about how you can authenticate to the APIs, check the link in the video description. All right, before we move on to the third way I have for you on how to synchronize your forked repo to the upstream one, hit the like button below if you're enjoying this video or you find it insightful. This way more people can benefit from it, and of course that would mean a lot to me. Thank you. The final method I have for you still uses the APIs behind the scenes, but it abstracts it to the user, making it more simpler to use and even to automate. So much so that I can say this is my favorite one, also because it uses GitHub Actions. There are just a few pre-built actions that allow you to sync and merge your upstream repo with your current repo, but this one is my favorite one. Also because it allows you to use the GitHub token rather than your path for making these operations. So let's go to our actions As you can see, I've already created this workflow that runs manually or on a schedule because I want to be able to sync my forked repo on a weekly basis. All I have to do is search here for sync upstream. And as you can see, there are a few ones. And the one I want to use is this one by the Bridman. So just copy the whole thing. Let's paste it here and we can personalize it. So let's remove some comments. So first thing, we need to pass the upstream repo. That will always be https://github.com. And we can copy these from here. There we go. Then the branch I want to synchronize, as we've seen before. So this case is master. And same for the downstream branch. So the branch to synchronize in here. Let's use the token. And as I said, we can use the secret GitHub token. And we don't need arguments for merge and for push. So we can remove this part. Let's just commit this and try and use it. Here we have it. Let's run it. And in a moment, we should be able to see our repo. I think it should be now clear why this is my favorite method to synchronize repos, and also why this is normally my recommendations to who ask me how to do it. Of course, if you have to perform the operation just once in a while, then using the UI is the best choice. And on the other hand, if you want to integrate the synchronization in some application, or if you have to do it on very busy repos using some external tool, then the APIs is the choice. But for me, the one using the GitHub Actions is the sweet spot. Let me know in the comment section below how you do the synchronization between your own forked repo and the upstream ones, and if you're going to change the way you do it now that we have all these other options. And finally, you may want to check out this video over here in which I talk about how to automate basically everything using GitHub Actions. But that's it for me. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. Hit the like button below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I see you in the next video here at CoderDave.